expand?
I don't think it's the tone, but I feel like if you hang around with certain people, if you go to different cultures, you understand that people have a way of talking. Because I know when I was growing up in my dad's home, my dad told me to speak boldly, speak loud, so they can hear you. Don't mean you're aggressive. Don't mean, my daddy just told me, speak boldly, speak loud. But then when I got to my mom's house, you ain't got to speak that loud. I can hear you. Hey, well, let me change it. So when I go to my mom's house, my tone is a little different. When I'm in my dad's house, my tone is louder. And then I was in the military too. So we got to look at people's backgrounds. When I was in the military, we had to yell cadence. And I'm glad you asked that, because it can go to these Israelites. You know, they have a group called Israelites.
Okay.
They be out there yelling on that mic. And they trying to tell them the Bible say, speak loud with a trumpet. That don't mean they mad.
He who controls images, controls minds. Confused as Confucius takes my eyes and verbalize. My intentions are pure, GMO improved. Pressure pit Michelle Obama approved. This is altitude. With me it's motivation, love, and gratitude. Tonight is about if I was your man, hypotheticals. Some just play their part, I don't know what position. They blackball me, baby, we're Bonnie and Clyde mission.
And he wanted me to call this certain name. A certain person, a council person, stood up and said, we nitpick about anything. If we nitpick about what we want to be called, we'd be here all day. I just answer to anything. And you know, they can call me black, they can call me African American, I'm going to answer to that. And I looked at the man and I looked at the president, which was Pastor Dunaway. I'm going to call the name. And I'm looking, I'm like, is somebody going to jump in and say, this is the place to talk about this?
Right.
Because it's race relations?
Yeah.
Nobody jumped in. And I'm looking at this guy, older dude. And he's looking like, I'm just trying to tell y'all what I want to call. So I had to stand up. I felt like I needed to take a stand. I looked over to that guy and I said, sir, that council person don't speak for every African American, black, brown, whatever. Don't speak for me. I would like to know what you want to be called. Because we are at the race relation, and this is where we supposed to be sitting here talking and bringing cultures together. So, you know, I don't understand why this lady is in your face like that and telling you this and sit down. And I wrote a complaint about that day. And I guess since I made that complaint, that's why my application got thrown in trash.
So let me ask you this, because you're going there, because this is where I want you to refer to is it more important, what you say or how you say it, or, should your tone be credited over your words? Because some people will say, well, I don't like the tone you said that in. You know, so should they focus on the tone, or should they be listening to the words as if they were written down on paper, because we don't all communicate the same.
Right.
You know, so can you explain?
I don't think it's the tone, but I feel like if you hang around with certain people, if you go to different cultures, you understand that people have a way of talking. Because I know when I was growing up in my dad's home, my dad told me to speak boldly, speak loud, so they can hear you. Don't mean you're aggressive. Don't mean, my daddy just told me, speak boldly, speak loud. But then when I got to my mom's house, you ain't got to speak that loud. I can hear you. Hey, well, let me change it. So when I go to my mom's house, my tone is a little different. When I'm in my dad's house, my tone is louder. And then I was in the military too. So we got to look at people's backgrounds. When I was in the military, we had to yell cadence. And I'm glad you asked that, because it can go to these Israelites. You know, they have a group called Israelites.
Okay.
They be out there yelling on that mic. And they trying to tell them the Bible say, speak loud with a trumpet. That don't mean they mad. They're just speaking boldly because they're passionate about what they believe in.
Passionate.
So when I'm speaking, you do need to listen to the words.
Okay.
Listen to the words and pay close attention to the action.
Okay.
The tone should never come into part. Watch the action and watch the words.
Now, you were speaking of the military. What is your greatest completed obstacle? As in, you know, we all have obstacles, right? And everyone, like mine are some of my smallest things were the hardest thing for me to accomplish. So, you know, the big things for me, where people look at me like, wow, I'll be like, all right, but I didn't really do nothing. So I asked that, you know, what is your greatest completed obstacle, the hardest thing you think you've overcome? And it may be small to us, but it's huge to you.
In the military?
No, it don't even gotta be. Oh, excuse me, I didn't want to direct you, but go ahead. Where?
My greatest accomplishment in the military was signing up and going, leaving my parents at 18 years old. And then the field that I chose. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't. And my mama, she was like, either you're going to go to college or you're going to get out of my house because we do college up there. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going in the military. I was being spiteful to my mom, so I signed up to go to the military. I'm thinking I could go to the Air Force.
So you just did it.
Yeah, so, but when it came back, it says that you have to take these tests and it match you with what you like to do. And they put me in a heavy equipment operator field. I don't know, I was fascinated with trucks and building things. So my greatest accomplishment was I was the only female with 90 men in the battalion.
Okay, wow.
And I'll tell you, them 90 men, they was really messing with me. They had me looking for headlight fluid.
Oh yeah, we did that in the car business.
I was out there for 8 hours, and my first sergeant, he just couldn't take it no more because they had me out there all day. He called me. He said, "Private, go out there and look and see if them headlights take fluid."
Come on.
So he said, "Don't you see a bug?"
So I'm glad you say that because people will look at you and they'd say, "Oh, she's a fighter. She always got something to say." Right, so they would assume you're aggressive, you scrappy. Can I ask you? Well, I know this, but I like asking it. Have you ever been to a fight?
I have never had a fight in my life.
So you're telling me that you're on this journey, and I've heard people say I can honestly say demonic things about you. I've heard people say some crazy things, and you never had a fight. How do you feel? Can you speak on that? But then tell me how you feel with people saying the things they said. Even if you want to say something they've said, but if you'll go through all of that, we're ready to listen.
I never had a fight in my life, but I did in school. In high school, I was on like a debate teams, and I blend in with different people. I'll go over here and hang with. Back then, they called. I didn't want to say it, but I'm gonna say how they had it categorized in high school. You had special education, the popular kids, the talented kids. I just blend in with all of them. I was sitting in the special education room.
No.
And I was always political. I always brought up political issues. I always debated with my teachers. It doesn't matter. I debated with anyone. People would get upset with me and want to fight, but guess what? If the people surrounding me, around me, would say, no, y'all gotta come through me if y'all want to fight her. So that's why I never had fights. I never had a fight.
You were protected.
And
that's important.
Listening to these things being said about me right now, that I'm crazy, that I'm aggressive, that I want to hurt someone, that's really hurtful to me and my kids. That's very hurtful to me because I never had a fight with anybody. I don't want to fight nobody. I'd rather talk it out. My dad taught us to talk it out. When me and my sisters was arguing, or anybody in my family, my dad would bring us to the table. He said, y'all need to go in the room and write down 2 things. Each of y'all write down 2 resolutions, and I'm gonna have 1. And then y'all need to come together with y'all 4 resolutions and narrow it down to 1. If y'all can't narrow it down to 1, mine is gonna overtop all of y'all. And so we already knew Daddy had something that was gonna be crazy.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, we already knew Daddy was gonna have something crazy because he was a Marine. My daddy would make us eat first before we could drink anything.
Right.
My daddy was.
I be feeling mean. I do all that to my kids. I still
And
do
so
it.
me and my sisters, we be in there battling. We be battling. I'm like, well, you want me to make your bed and you want me to wash your dishes. So maybe I'll make your bed on Monday and we watch because we know Daddy gonna have some stuff. So we'll come back with our 1 little resolution and we go without. So my daddy taught us to communicate, not to fight. He would never step in. He would never voice his opinion until the end. So I like to communicate. And people, when you're communicating, the tone comes into play with these people. They feel like you're being aggressive and you're not. I'm not being aggressive at all. I'm just speaking loud.
You're just choosing one of your relatable races that you've been around.
Yes. And
depending on where you're at.
But what sets the standards for aggressive?
Come on.
What sets the standard
I
for
like
that?
that you're asking that question. What is the standard for aggressive? Now, and I'll tell you what, just because he's sitting here, I'd like to ask.
Haters had a hell of a label. Dinner the